days will be to talk about EJB. Now, before I talk about EJB, let me introduce you to what is JBoss. What is Tomcat? Tomcat is a web server. Generally, people say it's a web server, but it has a functionality of web server plus web container, right? What is J2E or JEE? JEE is a superset of all specifications like server specification, JMS, JSP, JNDA, and also there is one specification called as EJB, Enterprise Java. Tomcat server does not implement EJB specification, right? Tomcat does not have something called as an EJB container. Or can I say like this, Tomcat is not fully J2EE compliant server, because Tomcat does not implement all the specifications in J2EE, right? If a server implements all the specifications in J2EE, we call it as an application server. Tomcat is a web server. JBoss is an application server because it has implementations for almost all the specifications. Especially we are particular about EJB specification. If some server has EJB implementation, and also there is one more specification called as JMS, Java Messaging Service. If the server has JMS implementation, or we say JMS server is the implementation of JMS, then we call it as an application server. JBoss is an application server and Tomcat is not, because Tomcat does not have implementation of EJB specification and JMS specification. JBoss is a server from Red Hat. Tomcat is from Apache. JBoss is a server from Red Hat company. Earlier JBoss was its own company, but earlier Red Hat purchased it. Now JBoss is from Red Hat. Is a server which has implementation of EJB container and JBoss, right? So now you know the difference between web server and application server. Okay, but inside JBoss there is servlet container, yes. JSP container, yes. Whatever Tomcat was having, same functionality JBoss is also having, plus some other implementations of other specifications, right? Now Tomcat, is it open source? Tomcat is open source, you need not purchase license for it. JBoss also is a open source. So JBoss people thought, okay, already there is a popular server called as Tomcat which is famous in the market for servlet container and JSP container. So when JBoss people are thinking to write their own server, they thought, why can't we use Tomcat inside JBoss? Anyways, Tomcat is a open source and they can modify the open source Tomcat according to their requirements, and they can use JBoss and they can use Tomcat inside JBoss. So inside JBoss, servlet container is nothing but Tomcat. JSP container is nothing but. So internally JBoss is using Tomcat for the Tomcat functionalities, right? Okay. Now inside JBoss folder there is a bin folder. To run JBoss, what you have to do is you have to just click on run.bat. JBoss server will start. By default, when JBoss server is starting, it will start a lot of threads. One of the thread is nothing but servlet container, JSP container, EJB container, JMS server. Lot of things are starting up. JBoss will take some time to come up. It is not as fast as Tomcat. See? I got some exceptions. Why? Because see, what is the problem? Address already in use on my system. 8080 port is being used by Oracle database on my server, Oracle server. that was a problem. So I'll show you how to change the port inside JBoss also. So just you understood that to start JBoss you need to start run.bat. I'm closing it by pressing Ctrl C. Okay, then I'll introduce you to slowly one by one. Coming back here, there is server and there is a folder called as default. JBoss has lot of services. Once JBoss starts, lot of services will start. Tomcat is started as a service inside JBoss. Like Tomcat, you have EJB container service, JMS server service, right? Something for web services, JIndia server, lot of things. But let's assume that you are developing a pure web application which will use only servlets and JSP. Do you require EJB container to run? No. Do you require JMS server to run? No. So if you start JBoss, I told that by default all of them will start. But sometimes when I am developing a pure web application which will contain only servlets and JSP, I may not want all the services to start when JBoss starts, right? So JBoss comes up with various configurations, right? There is one folder here called as web. Web folder is having the configurations, the configuration files for deploying web applications, which will just contain servlets and JSP, right? So if you want to deploy only web applications, what you can do is you can run your JBoss with this configuration. How to run? I'll just show you here. I'll go to command prompt. I'll go to JBoss bin directory. So if I call run.bat will execute, right? Run space hyphen web. See? Run space run space web. Run space, give the folder name. Here there are a lot of folders under server, right? Web, standard, minimal, default, all. If I say run space web, JBoss will start by loading the configurations present in the web folder. So only the services related to web applications will start. We have that specificity with JBoss. But by default, if you just say run, it will run with default configurations present in the default folder, right? So I told you the way to start JBoss server. In JBoss server there are various configurations, minimal configurations. If you just want to use JBoss only for static content, then you can start JBoss with minimal, right? So if you want to use only for web, then you can use JBoss, run JBoss with web. If you want to run with some standard configuration, some default, some standard things are there, you can run it. But most of the times we will be running it with default configuration. So what I want you to do is, I want you to run with default configuration. Again, I'm just Ctrl C, it will stop the server. Now just say run, don't say web. Just say run, it will run with default configuration, right? So how to solve this problem? Inside default, server default, there is a folder called as deploy. Okay. If you want to deploy your web applications, what you can do is you can keep your folder here inside the deploy folder. Whereas in Tomcat, what was the folder? Web apps. You have to keep your application inside web apps folder. But in JBoss, you have to keep your folder inside deploy folder. Right? Now, I am using default configuration, right? I have to keep it inside default deploy. Suppose if I am using web, under web you have deploy folder, you have to keep it, right? Okay. One more thing I want to tell, even related to Tomcat. What is the directory structure of a web application? You should have your application name, under that web-inf, classes, lib, right? I told you to keep the whole folder under web apps. But while copying from my client machine to server machine, I have to transfer the whole folder, right? See, we will be developing on developer machine and we will be deploying on a separate machine on dedicated for a server. So while transferring the files, there may be a problem while transferring the whole folder. One of the file, if it is not copied, your application may not work. We always prefer archive files, like jar, Java archive, right? So for archive file for web, it's called as var. Var stands for web archive. Jar stands for Java archive. Var stands for web archive. So suppose if we have your application folder as mysys folder, what you can do is you can create a .var file. .var file. How to create a var file? Just like jar. So you know how to create a jar file? Yeah. See, just jar hyphen space cvf and give the file name. Suppose mysys.jar .var you have to give. For jar files we give .jar var and space star. If I give whatever is there in the current folder will go as part of var file. That's all. Making jar and var are same. The extension is different. Var for web archive. This is a way to create your archives, right? So in Tomcat also, what you can do is you can create a var file for your whole folder, application folder, and keep the var file inside your web apps. That will be deployed. Your application will be. So now you understood about var. Similarly, for deploying inside JBoss, what you can do is you can create a var file and keep it inside deploy folder, right? But if you don't want to create a var file, you just want to copy your folder, the folder also should be named as .var. See here, there is something called as .var. Folder name, your application name, .var. The folder name also has to follow that conventions in JBoss, right? You can either create a archive file .var and keep it here, or if you want to copy the whole folder, the folder name also should follow the convention. It should have .var, right? Next, I told internally inside JBoss, Tomcat is running as a service. Services also can be created on JBoss, but the extension is .sar, service archive. Tomcat is as a service. Here you can see JBoss web.sar. Inside deploy folder you can see JBoss web.sar service archive file. Tomcat is running as a service inside my JBoss. See here, there is one file called as server.xml. Just edit it. And you can search for 8080. Yes, this is a similar XML file for like Tomcat, right? So if you want to change the port, you can change it here. I'll make it to be 6060. And also inside Tomcat, web content also is listening at 8009. I'll just search for 8009 and replace it with 6009. That's it. So now When JBoss is starting, it will try to start Tomcat as a service, and the Tomcat will listen at these ports. Right? Now I will just start my JBoss. Let's see, I should not see any exceptions right now. Again, Control C will stop the server. Again I'll say run. Let's say I should not see any exceptions now. No exceptions, and you can see that here you can see something like 60, 60 and 6009. Yeah, the JBoss started successfully at 6060. Right. Now go to your browser and just say http://localhost:6060/ http. Now you should see this JBoss home page. Then only your JBoss is running correctly. You can click on Web Console. You should see something like this. You can see something called as JBoss Management Console, and you can monitor various services running inside JBoss through this console. You can go to monitoring, web status, full status. You can see how much maximum memory. Maximum memory is 493 and total memory is 201. Free memories. You can show how many threads are running. 2000. Sorry, 200. Current thread count. Actual threads is 200. There are no threads running right now. Right, you can see the statistics. You can monitor JBoss. Then you can just go to J2E domains, expand it, JBoss, you expand it. You can see a lot of services running here inside JBoss. We will try to understand one by one. See here, if you have deployed any war file, you can see your war file here. Already there is a war file which is web-console.war deployed. I clicked on it. It is showing me the deployment descriptor of web-console.war, web.xml. Right? Likewise, if you deploy your web application also, you can see the deployment descriptor here. Right? So you will slowly understand about what all are this. let's start with some concept. Console. Okay, this basic understanding about EJB, JBoss is sufficient. Now we'll start with EJB. How do you deploy now web applications? You understood, right? Just copy and paste your web application under deploy folder. That's it. Whatever you have done with Tomcat, same will work with JBoss. No difference at all. Right now, till now. Right? Okay. Then now let us start understanding EJB and how to write enterprise Java beans. First of all, let us try to understand what is enterprise Java bean. EJB. Okay, you know what is a bean, right? What is a bean? Anything that can be reusable is called as a bean. Can I call my service class also as a bean? Yes. Once I write a service class, I can call it anywhere. It's also a bean. Can I call my Java class also as a bean? Nowadays all the classes are called as Java beans. But to strictly speak, Java bean should have public default constructor. But nowadays, even though there is no public default constructor, they are called as beans. All Java classes are beans. Now, what I will do is I will write a class which will have some business logic. Let's say I have written a class called as shopping cart. Shopping cart is required by many companies who are provide online purchasing. For them, shopping cart is required, right? What we can do using a shopping cart? If you have bought any books online, you will search for any book or any other things. You will search for any book, for any item, you can add it to cart. You can search for other item, you can add it to cart. Finally, you will check out from the cart. Whatever items you have added to cart will be purchased. That's a shopping cart generally if you have purchased something online. Right. Now, assume that I am writing the logic for a shopping cart in a class called as shopping cart. Inside this class, I may have a method called as add to cart. Which will take the item to be added to cart. Then it may have some other functionality like checkout. If I call this checkout, all the items in the cart which are added till now will be purchased. Right? Now, once I have written this code, all the shopping cart code, can I sell it to some companies who require shopping cart functionalities? Yes. Tell me some companies which you know for purchasing books online. Flipkart.com, Amazon.com. There is one more good site, Manning.com, Safaribooksonline.com. These all people require shopping cart functionality. What I can do is, okay, I have anyway developed my shopping cart component. There is not a single class. This class might be using some other classes. So out of all classes, what I will do is I will prepare a jar file. So this jar file is having some classes which can be used for shopping cart functionality. Now, I will be selling the same component. Why am I calling it as a component? It's not a single class. It's a combination of some classes. So my shopping cart component, I will sell it to different companies like Amazon, like Flipkart. But will my same application can be used by all of them? There might be different requirements. Like, see, in the shopping cart there might be some other methods also XYZ. Let's say there is a rule in Amazon.com company saying this checkout method should be called by only a role called as admin, right? Can be invoked as admin only, let's say. But in Flipkart.com they have a rule saying this checkout method should be invoked, can be invoked by a role called as admin. Admin is inside Amazon, and another role called as say HR, any role, some other role. So each company has a different role. Amazon says this method should be invoked only by admin. Flipkart says this method can be invoked by say HR role. Should I change my logic now for different companies? No? Where should I write the security code? You understood already, right? If at all I have to write a security code, the code which will contain security, where should I write? Inside? No. Proxy. So we understood how to create a proxy, right? So we should not write the security code inside our business methods. These are my business methods. This checkout should contain only the checkout logic, the logic to purchase the items which are added to cart till now. It should not contain the security code. Security code can be inside a proxy, right? So now should I create a proxy for the shopping cart? Should I write that proxy logic also? If I write the proxy logic, I may hard code. This method should be invoked only by admin. So what I can do? I can write a proxy. Proxy means what? Do you remember invocation handler class we wrote? In that invocation handler only we are writing the logic for security, if you have remembered. So that logic of invocation handler I can write such that it will read from an XML, right? In XML I might have configured checkout method admin or checkout method say HR. In that configuration file, XML file, I might have configured which role can invoke this checkout method, right? So now what I could do is I could write a proxy which will read from XML what are the permissions for invoking checkout, and accordingly it will decide whether checkout method will be called or should be called or not whenever you invoke, right? So in this case, should I write a proxy? Yes. The answer is yes. I should write my own proxy code, right? Okay, keep that security. Security is one requirement, or another requirement I'll tell you. While checking out, I might have added some 3 items to my cart. Let's say I have added 3 books, each one book worth 1000 rupees, one book worth 500 rupees, one book worth 700 rupees, right? I'm checking out. So total cost is 2200, but my credit card limit which I can use right now is 2000 only. Will I be able to purchase all the books? No, right? So again the company says, Amazon says he has added 3 books to cart, let him purchase all the books or none of the books should be purchased. That may be a rule while checking out by one company. But another company may say, okay, he is able to purchase first 2 books, let him purchase first 2 books. For the third book, we will show an error message saying you cannot purchase third book because there is no credit limit in your account, right? So that means purchasing books should be in a transaction. See, what is a transaction? Single unit of work is a transaction. Now I am doing some operations. Purchasing is an operation, right? So purchasing 3 books. So for purchasing 3 books, should all the 3 purchasing should be in single transaction? If all the 3 purchasings are in single transaction, what will happen? If one purchasing fails, all of the other 2 purchases also will rollback, right? But if each purchase is using a single transaction, each purchase has a transaction. So 3 transactions now. First 2 succeeded, third one only will fail, right? So now when invoking methods, we want to start transactions on data, right? Again, transaction rules are different for different companies, right? One company says, if you purchase all the books, let him purchase, otherwise don't let him purchase anything, right? So my shopping cart, when I am writing the code for shopping cart, these are the methods. Should I worry about all these things? When the transaction should be started, where before invoking this method or before invoking some other method, right? Before invoking a checkout method, maybe I want to start a transaction, and after invoking checkout method, maybe I want to close a commit a transaction or roll back a transaction. So should I care about where a transaction should be started? For starting transactions, what I can do? I can do it in a proxy also. Before the method is called, I can execute some logic inside a proxy, and after the method is called, I can execute the logic inside a proxy, right? So transactions also can be written inside a proxy, right? Okay, that's fine. 2 requirements we understood. When writing the shopping cart, the first point in my mind is to write only the business logic. Should not write code for security inside my shopping cart class. I should not write transaction related code inside my class. I should concentrate only on business logic. Now I will tell you one more thing. This shopping cart is an object on one application. There is one more application here. These are 2 different Java applications, right? An object on this application want to invoke a method on this object, right? So in this case, are these 2 objects local to each other or remote to each other? They are remote to each other, right? So let's assume my shopping cart is running on this machine. Another client application is running on this machine. From here I want to invoke a method on this object. Is it possible normally? No. If these 2 objects are on same JVM, same heap, then we can use dot and call. These 2 objects are on 2 different machines, so we will not be able to invoke it directly. If you want to do such remote method invocations, we need to use something called as RMI. In Java we have a topic called as RMI, remote method invocation. If you want to invoke a remote method, you need to use RMI. You need to write your code using RMI, remote method invocation. You have to follow some rules, right? So now my question is, whenever I am writing my shopping cart class, should I worry about whether this class will be accessed locally or remotely? Again my answer is no, you should not worry, right? So who should provide you the services? You want 3 types of services right now. You want a security service before calling your methods. You want some security code to execute. Before calling your methods, you want some transaction related code to execute, right? And also you want another service called as remoting, right? Your shopping cart object should be exposed to remote clients also, so that remote clients can invoke it, right? For exposing your normal Java class as a remote object, you need to follow some rules and then write your code, right? But when writing shopping cart, I don't want to follow any rules. I just want it to be a POJO. POJO means plain old Java object. This is a terminology being used in the market. Normal Java class is nothing but we call it as POJO. Plain old Java object. A normal Java class without following any specifications is a POJO. Servlet class I am writing, implementing servlet interface, following servlet specification. Servlet class is not a POJO. A normal Java class without following any specifications is a POJO. Plain old Java, right? Now, what I want to do is I want to write a shopping cart class as a simple POJO without following any specification. But I want some services to be automatically given to this POJO, right? What I will do is I will create it and keep it inside my JBoss. My JBoss has to provide me a transaction service, security service, remoting service. All the services should be provided by my JBoss, right? What is the advantage you gain by writing like this? Yes, you have developed your component and giving it to a company. They may be deploying it on in a JBoss or WebLogic or WebSphere. I don't mind. My component will be same. Let's say both of the companies are using JBoss, but both the companies are having different security rules and transaction rules. But my code need not be, because JBoss is providing. Both the companies are using an application server. Application server is providing these facilities to my code, right? So when writing my class, I will just concentrate on the business logic. So I will do my work perfectly. When I am writing this class, I will not worry about transaction service or security service or remoting. I will just concentrate the business logic. I will just write the logic for this particular scenario. So when writing such a class, I will not worry about any other services. So I can do my work perfectly, right? Take an example. What is my duty? To give you training. Am I worried about whether all these systems are working, projector is working, or is this classroom booked or not? I'm not worried. So I'll just come, speak some words, go back to my house. So I am concentrating on my work, that's all. I am not worried about copies are there, meals are arranged, projector is working, nothing. These all facilities are provided by MySys, right? So I can say MySys is providing all the services. I am just coming here and do my work and I can go, right? Suppose if I have to arrange all this, I will not be able to concentrate on my training. My training may not go smoothly, right? If somebody says there is a problem with my computer, it's not working, if I come and see at your problem, no, it will be waste of time for me. Yesterday I think your computer was not working, you just report your service desk, they solve the problem, I am not worried. So I can do my work properly, right? Similarly, when writing your classes, you should be able to concentrate only on the business logic. You should rely on the rest of things on a server, right? So is this a Java bin? Right? Yes, it's a Java bin. Is this Java bin reusable between two companies, between two enterprises? Amazon is an enterprise, Flipkart is an enterprise. This Java bin is reusable between two enterprises, right? So it is an enterprise Java bin, a Java bin which can be reused in different environments, different enterprises, right? So it is an enterprise Java bin. So if I want to write an enterprise Java bin, I have to follow a specification called as EJB specification, enterprise enterprise Java bean specification. Following EJB specification, the vendors have written a container called as EJB container, right? So what we do is we deploy our EJBs inside EJB container, right? I deploy my beans inside EJB container. But when I am deploying something inside a container, I have to follow those rules. Like I was deploying my servlets inside servlet container. I was following some rules, I was implementing some interfaces. Similarly, I have to follow, when I am developing shopping cart, I have to follow some rules given by EJB specification and be able to deploy my EJB inside your EJB container. And who is providing me such services? EJB container is providing me all the services like transaction, security, remote. Everything will be taken care of by EJB container. But how do I tell to EJB container these are the services? Just write an XML file. It will work, right? So that's the introduction to what is EJB and what is EJB container. So who is managing the EJBs? EJB container. Who is managing servlet? Servlet container, right? Now, who will be invoking methods on your EJBs? Anyone. Any client application can invoke methods on your beans, right? So how does the client get the reference of a bean? Who has to give? EJB container has to give. Now understand the scenario. Whenever I deploy my EJB in an EJB container, this is J&DI server. Yesterday we understood about J&DI server. Whenever I deploy an EJB inside EJB container, the bean will be registered inside J&DI with a name. So I'll say my shopping cart. This is the name with which it is registered. This is a bean object. Will be registered with a name inside the J&DI server. Whenever a client wants the bean, what he will do? He will look up the J&DI, get the reference of the bean, right? And he will be invoking the methods on your bean. But before your original methods are invoked, you want security code to run and your transaction code to run, right? So how will they run? They will run because you are not getting the original object when you look up the J&DI. You are getting a proxy of your bean, right? Whenever you look up the J&DI, you will not be getting the original bean whatever you wrote. You will be getting a proxy of your bean. So you are invoking the methods on your proxy. That proxy may execute some security code or transaction code, and finally will execute your original method, right? Who is creating your proxies? EJB container. We need not write a single line for creating proxies. If you deploy an EJB container will be creating proxies automatically, right? And those proxies have the security code and transaction related code. Based on the XML configuration, whatever we write, corresponding security code and corresponding transactional code will be executed, right? So how is my bean getting all the services? Because of proxy. Who is preparing? EJB container is preparing the proxies. Any doubts till now? So this is all abstracted from us. Creating proxies and all is abstracted from us. We just follow some simple rules given by EJB specification, deployed inside EJB container. My normal POJO Java, plain old Java object will be getting some services automatically, right? So now let's see how to create our own enterprise Java. Any doubts? Let me know. Clear? Okay. So first of all, if you want to understand about EJB clearly, you need to understand RMI, remote method invocation. How remote method invocation can happen, because the main functionality why people go for EJB is remoting. EJB container will expose a normal Java object as a remote object, so that remote clients also can invoke methods on your object. So if you want to understand about EJB, first let me tell you the technique behind remote method invocation, right? Whereas this is not part of our course, you can just listen, get an idea of how RMI works, right? Okay, so before going ahead with how to create our own EJB, let me start with writing a RMI program, right? So just I'll create a new project. New Java project. This is 01 RMI. One thing, if you understand EJBs properly, later in Spring framework we have AOP, have a topic called as aspect oriented programming. It will be very easy for you if you understand these concepts of EJB clearly. So we can be a bit fast at the time if you can spend some more time, right? Okay, so RMI, you can just see here. What I want to do is I want to write some simple method, a class, simple class. In a package com.mysys, I want to write a class called as calculator, simple. Calculator, simple. Calculator will have very simple methods, add, subtract. I want to expose this calculator as a remote object, so that I can show you clearly. Public int add, which is having int I comma int j, and return I plus j. I'll just write system.out.println inside add I is equals to plus I plus and j is equals to okay, and one more method quickly, subtract. I'll just say sub, inside sub return I minus j, that's all. So now I want to invoke these remotely, right? If I want to invoke any method remotely, I have to use RMI. According to RMI specification, the class which you want to expose remotely should be implementing interfaces. So first step is to create an interface which will contain only these two methods, right? And make your class to implement it. So I'll create a new class for a new interface, calc, and I'll have two methods, public int add and subtract. First rule, int and sub, right? And now I'll make my calculator to implement calc. Okay. Now calculator should be exposed remotely. To to expose it, you have to follow a RMI specification. RMI says the interface should extend an interface called as remote from java.rmi. So your interface has to extend the interface called as remote. And your calculator is implementing calc. Can I say that this class calculator is implementing remote interface? Yes. So if a class is implementing remote interface, we say that it is a remote class which can be accessed remotely, right? And your remote class should extend one more class called a unicast remote object. Okay? If you want a class to be exposed as a remote object, your class should extend unicast remote object. So here, is there a constructor for calculator? Default constructor is there. First line inside the default constructor is called to default super. But if the super class constructor is throwing exception, you have to handle it here, right? So see here, I'll add a constructor. I made my constructor to throw remote exception. The superclass constructor is throwing remote exception. If I don't write calculator also, okay, I'll make it public. If I don't write this constructor, will the compiler write a similar constructor like this? Yes. First line will be called to super. But super is throwing exceptions. If an exception is thrown at any line, what you have to do is either catch it or declare it. Suppose if I try to catch, I write a try catch block. The first line inside the constructor should be called to super. If I try to catch it, the first line will become try. So the concept is, if in a constructor, if superclass constructor is throwing an exception, your subclass also should throw it. If you try to catch, try will become the first line. Compiler will not agree, right? So if a superclass constructor is throwing exception, you have to throw it. Okay, declared it as throws. Okay. Then after creating like this, I'll go to my workspace. Bin, I'll go to command prompt. What I'll do is, there is a tool called as RMIC. Java C is for Java compiler. RMIC is RMI compiler. Right? I have to give the dot class file as an argument to RMIC. It will generate some files. I'll show you. See here in com.mysys there are two things, right? calc.class, calculator.class, right? Now see, RMIC hyphen space class path space dot means dot, the current folder is in class path. Then I'll say com.mysys dot calculator. Okay, it's giving some errors, right? Compilation errors. What it's saying? com.mysys.calc is not a valid remote interface. The method add must throw remote exception, subtract should throw remote exception. So according to RMI, again one more rule is the remote methods should declare that they throw remote exception. Throws throws. So this is again a rule in RMI. So after doing that, again I'll say, yep, see, it got compiled successfully. And if I show you the folder, there is one more class file now. What is it? Calculator underscore stub. the RMI compiler has generated something called as a stub. I'll explain you what is a stub just now. Okay, just wait. Then I'm done. I have created a remote class. I can invoke these classes remotely. Now I'm writing a new class server. I'll take main. Here what I will do is I will just create a new calculator. This is throwing some exception. I'll do it. Now if I run this program, after it creates calculator object, do you expect that this program will terminate? Right? I will just run it. Let's see what will happen. Okay, where is the console? Windows show view. See, it is still executing, is it? There is only one line new calculator, but why is it still executing? Yes? I just created a calculator object. After creating calculator object, I want the program to terminate, but my program is still running. What could have happened? Inside the constructor of calculator, what is the code? Call to super. So the constructor of unique cast remote object will be executed, right? So see what is the diagram here. Just see the diagram. Once I started my server.java, JVM started. Okay, this is JVM. JVM started, and when I said new calculator, calculator object is created. Object is created, immediately after that constructor is called. Then inside the constructor, first line is called super. This constructor is called. Inside this constructor, there is a code which will create a thread, which will be listening on some port, right? So the unicast remote object constructor is creating a thread which will be listening on some port continuously. In an application, if at least one thread is running, the application will be running. Until this thread terminates, my application will be running. So it's still running. It is that thread is waiting on the server side. This thread is also called as skeleton thread. In RMI terminology, we call this thread as skeleton thread, or simply we call it as skeleton. So when you create an object, a remote object, a skeleton will be running. Skeleton thread will be running automatically, right? Okay. Now, when I started my server, calculator object is here and thread is running, right? Now what I want to write another client program in this main thread, right? In this main thread, wants to invoke a method on the calculator object. That's nothing but remote method invocation. This is one program, this is one program. One program, a thread of this program wants to invoke a method on this object, right? So how to invoke it? The idea is, if you can get an object on client machine which is implementing same interface as that of calc, so you'll be able to call add method, subtract method on it, right? If you can get a proxy of calc, proxies should implement same interface always, right? On client machine, what I want is I want a proxy of a calculator object. How I will get it, I will explain you. But if I have a proxy, what I will do, I will call a method called add on the proxy, right? So I am calling method add on the proxy, right? This proxy, which will be available on client machine, is also called as stub in RMI terminology. I'll tell you how to create an object of stub. Did I generate stub class? When I said RMIC, what did I get? I got stub class, right? So on client machine, if I am able to create an object of that stub, right? Stub is, did I write the stub? No, it was automatically generated. Stub will be implementing the same interfaces as your target, right? So if I call a method on the stub, what this method will do is, it will open a socket communication to the skeleton thread. Skeleton thread is listening on some port, right? It will open a socket communication to the skeleton thread, right? You may ask me, how does it know which port to connect to? Who has generated stub code? RMIC? It knows what is the port because RMIC has generated this stub code by reading what? Calculator.class. In that calculator.class, it's extending unicast remote object. In unicast remote object, there is a code which is starting the skeleton thread, right? So it knows. So whenever I call a method on the proxy, the method on the stub, it will open a socket communication to skeleton thread, and it will send method invocation details. What method to invoke? So what it will do is, this stub, it will create a hash map, a map. Map will contain key value. It will say class name is a key. Class is nothing but calculator object. Method name is a key. What method to invoke? Add. Parameters is a key. And what are the parameters I am passing? I and j I am passing. Parameters is an object array which will contain I and j, 2, 3 will say. Right? Now this map is containing all the method invocation details. Which method to invoke? Add method. On which class? Calculator. What are the parameters to be passed? 2, 3. Right? So this stub will create a map which will contain method invocation details. Right? Can the map be serialized now? Map is implementing serializable. So the map object will be serialized and it will be sent to skeleton. Skeleton will deserialize it, and you get all the information. Now the skeleton came to know what method to invoke on what class. So these two are local. Skeleton will invoke the original method, right? Then the method is returning some value. The return value the skeleton will get. It will send the return value again back to the stub. Whatever value it gets, that is the value which is returned. So client is getting the return value, right? So this is the technique behind RMI. RMI is working because of stub and skeleton, right? Who is creating stubs and skeletons? I am not writing any code. RMIC tool is creating a stub, and my remote class is extending unicast remote object which is already having the code for skeleton, right? Now the client, does he understand that he is invoking a remote method? Client will always be using interfaces. I'll show you. I'll write the client. Okay. But how? But one thing is, on client, what object I want? I want stub object. Can I create an object of this class now? If I want to create an object of this class, I need to know what is the constructor to be used. There is no default constructor in this class. So I don't know how to create an object of stub, right? But somehow I want an object of stub. So what I will do is I'll go to another command prompt. Okay, same command prompt, and I'll say RMI registry. In JDK bin directory, if you go to this C program plus Java JDK bin directory, there is an executable file called as RMI registry.exe. I started RMI registry. This RMI registry is also similar to our naming server which we understood yesterday. Inside RMI registry, what we can do is we can bind an object with a name, right? So now once I start the RMI registry, it is listening on some port for binding requests, right? I can ask the RMI registry now to bind an object with a name, right? Now how to ask the RMI registry to bind an object with a name? See here in my server.java I have calci is equals to, I create an object of calculator and I'll say naming dot, there's a class called as naming from what package? Java dot RMI package, naming dot, I'll say bind. Okay, bind. What is the name to be bound? I'll say my calci. What is the object to be bound? Calci. This is throwing some exception. I'll declare that my main throws. So when this line is executed, see here, this is the server.java application. This is a naming RMI registry. It is listening on some port, right? When I say naming.bind, that is executed, the socket connection will be opened to here, to RMI registry, and a request will be sent to RMI registry to bind calculator object with my calc, right? Now from this application, calculator object has to be serialized and sent over here, right? It should be deserialized here, right? So whenever I say naming.bind, calculator object is serialized and sent to RMI registry, and RMI registry will deserialize, right? But remember, whenever you try to serialize a remote object, the remote object will not be really serialized. Its stub will be serialized. Automatically, whenever you try to serialize a remote object, a stub object will be created and it will be sent over here. So now inside RMI registry, there is a stub object which is already registered with a name. If I run my server.java now, a stub object will be registered inside RMI registry with my calci, name as my calci, right? Then I will write the client program. I will write new client.java. I take main. So what I'll do is on client I will say naming dot lookup and give the name. What is the name? My calci. What am I getting? Once I look up in RMI server, RMI registry, what is it bound? What object is bound? Stub object. Stub, is it implementing same interface? Calci? Yes. So can I typecast with calci now? Interface. So calci is an interface. I am typecasting it to interface reference. So I'll invoke the method on calci. Now calci dot add 4, 5. int result is equals to, and I'll just say system.out.println 4 plus 5 is equals to result plus right. Now server is running here. To show you clearly, what I'll do is I'll just open another command prompt. I'll cd to same place, same bin, and then I'll say java space -cp space dot current folder is in class path com dot mysys dot what is it saying, non JRMP server at remote endpoint. Okay, my JBoss is running here. Internally JBoss also has an RMI registry, so it was not able to run. I'll stop my JBoss. Then I'll stop this program and again execute it. Yeah, see, my server is running. That means skeleton thread is listening on a port, and here RMI registry, is it running? Here RMI registry is listening on a port, server is listening on a port, right? Now I will run my client program. This is a remote client, this is a separate application. If I run, see, I got the result 4 plus 5 equals 9. And on the server, will I be able to see the system.out.println? Yes, on server I have written system.out.println inside add, right? So remote method invocation happened, right? So I want you to just understand this concept.